See the little red REC up at the top?
This would have went.
It didn't seem to go away, didn't it? It says it's recorded. No, it's just because it takes all the little notations off the screen, but there's no motion on the screen. The recording's still up there. All right.
You have somebody in the waiting room. You have somebody
Somebody in the waiting room. Yeah.
Thank you.
I've never heard of
Them
that.
in. You don't have to push it all the way to just enough to block some of the sound. I want people to be able to come in if they need to. Good morning. I welcome everyone to the March 12th regular meeting of the County Electoral Board. That's 2026, March 12th, 2026. I'm pretty sure with witnesses that we have the recording turned on this time. And I welcome all present. And there are quite a few here in the room and a number of you online. I note the presence of all of the electoral board members, so we must have a quorum. And I call this meeting to order. First order of business is to look at our final agenda. Are there any changes that the board would like to make to the agenda?
No, I have a small thing, but I'll just put it under other items.
Very good, as do I. So that'll be fun. And then next item is brief announcements from the board and registrar. I'd like to lead off. Andrea, I have been looking at the state website at bills that are passing and bills that have gone to the governor and all that. And the General Assembly seems to have teed up lots of things for elections this year in contrast to recent years. And I wonder if maybe in a May timeframe when all that has settled out, if you could give us a briefing on what's there. Some of those things look like they're going to have September 1st implementation dates as opposed to July or January. So it would be nice so that we're properly aligned for the next election with any things that have changed in July or things that are going to be changing for the November election.
And we will get a similar report, the Viva conference. That's always part of the program at the legislative.
Yes, but they probably won't be quite done by then. So I'd just like to get that out in our presence so that we don't miss something important. Any other announcements?
Yes.
Jim.
I would like to officially apologize to all present and up there when I said that this would be such a low turnout election. We don't need no stinking room A. We can do everything in room B. And we will have 30 people the first day show up to vote. And we had 413. We're down in the 300s now. I am out of the prediction business. In observing and querying our chiefs and early in-person voting, it seems like we're doing okay in room B. A couple times got a little overcrowded, I'm told, but for the most part, and we're down in the 300s now instead of the 400s as far as turnout. So I guess room B is still okay, but I do apologize.
I'll let you know, Dave.
Well, room B does seem to be working well, so that's the good news. And you know, who could predict?
You know, anything from you?
No, I'll wait till
Okay. Very good.
I have a little.
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Which is everybody who doesn't know it. If in case anybody doesn't know it, that the schools have decided to not have students in person on April 21st, which, yeah, makes things a lot better. A lot easier for everyone.
We do have a small glitch with K-Tech on that simply because they're having a 3-day nurse testing that will be going on. It's only 20 nurses, but there will be students in the school. So we will probably have to do the background check thing. K-Tech.
Okay.
That would be.
Okay. Moving on. We have an opportunity for public comment. I see a hand up over here. Ann?
I have a lot of public comments. So
Introduce yourself.
Amber Baker, I'm an EO, Assistant Chief at Georgetown. So I'm just gonna start with one. Scheduling for EOs.
Could you speak up just a click?
Sure.
Yeah, on the other side. They weren't able to hear you across the room.
Oh, okay. Amber Baker. Sorry about that. Scheduling EOs for early voting has been frustrating to say the least. I have not talked to one person who's been happy about it. A lot of EOs were just scheduled without any regard to when did you want to work? They were just put on a schedule. They weren't asked, they were just scheduled. Which normally you work Tuesday, Thursday afternoons. Well, now maybe you're scheduled in the mornings. Really frustrating. Besides that, I've worked since 2020. When I signed up, I was told that my party affiliation is only known to the office staff and my chief. It is now known to all the EOs. And it should not be. That's nobody's business. It's very clear.
And was that disclosed via email or?
I believe it is public record.
Yeah.
When we,
The records of EOs are
It may
available.
be public record, but it certainly shouldn't be sent out to people. It hasn't been done since 2020.
It's your pulpit.
I mean, and I have a whole
Keep
list of,
going, keep going.
no, I've got a whole list of things that,
the chiefs do have a reason to know.
exactly. So that was my understanding, was that the office staff knew that and that the chiefs knew that. And obviously the board members. But other EOs, there's no reason to know that. There's no reason to look around the room and go, oh, R, D, R, D, D. There's no need for that.
Okay.
I don't see a need for that. It creates a division that you're trying to do away with, I would think. You're not trying to create a division. We're trying to create a team. I have a whole slew of things, concerns about early voting that if a board member would like to contact me, because I'm going to go way over my 3 minutes. If a board member would like to contact me, please do.
I'd be delighted to talk to you. Liz?
I'm Liz Ward-Glenny. I am chief at Georgetown, and I'm also working early voting. I've worked early voting since 2020, just like Ann. I've worked as an election official in Albemarle County since 2016. Early voting is nothing short of chaotic. We are getting treating our voters as they should be treated, but behind the scenes, there is chaos. As Ann brought up, the staffing of early voting is, and I don't want this to be an attack on Alex. Alex is doing absolutely the best job he can do, given the circumstances. I am seeing a lot of inexperience in not only our EOs, but in the people that we need to consult for how things should be run. There is disrespect I believe, on EOs by office staff. There's incredible disorganization. There are inconsistencies. A policy will be set, and then an hour later it's changed, and then an hour later it's changed. And this is all different from how we used to do. Not to say that what we used to do was perfect, but we're just being given, we're changing this with no reason why and no understanding why. Yesterday I was working as chief. I had a person come in who had 2 ballots that had been mailed to her. The whole ballot, early voting ballot, mail-in ballot situation, again, was really chaotic. I was told at one point that I couldn't work on certain days because they were only dealing with protected information, which it turned out was labels on envelopes. And also, we had, as EOs, when we went to our training, we couldn't access that room until 10 o'clock because it was a protected room. So if you arrived at 5 minutes to 10 for a 10 o'clock meeting, you had to stay in the hallway. So 3 or 4 days later, there are tons of people in that protected room madly putting labels on envelopes, which if I had been able to come or other people had been able to come in on Monday and take care of that, it wouldn't have been, because I had said, I'm happy to come in on Monday, but I was told I could not because it was protected information. I'm a sworn in EO. That is information that I have access to anytime I'm on a pad. So I'm not sure what that situation was.
May I speak to that, please? The state had enjoined us from doing the activities that would enable us to send out ballots until late Wednesday of that week.
But we had been
We
stuffing
have
ballots.
been doing it before,
We've been
and then
stuffing ballots
after
and-
one of the court cases, the state said, everybody stop.
It is my understanding that labeling started on Monday prior to Friday, and it was being done only by office staff because office staff were the only qualified people to do it. And by Thursday, there were people here labeling, at least one person here labeling who is not an EO, not a board member, and not a member of the office. I just question, I'm really questioning decision-making at this point. Again, I would be happy to talk to any of you afterwards because I have a lot of things I could say that maybe shouldn't be said publicly, but it's been chaos.
I do have a question since you brought that up to me, but protected information. I do not see anything on a label that is protected information.
I will be happy to send you.
Name of the voter and the address of the voter. There is no birth date information. There is no social security information.
I will be happy to send you a copy of an email I received saying why I could not help because it was protected information.
Let me address that. Actually, when you print out the list of the absentee ballot holders, it actually says on the list that comes out of Veris that it's protected information. It says it on there. So yes, when I first started it, I did not, wanted to honor that. I said, well, let's see if we can just do this in-house in the staff. And then I talked to a few people and I thought, okay, well, if we swear people in when they're doing this, then that would be okay. And that's exactly what we did. And I informed you by email, 2 of you, that yes, initially you could not, that we wanted to handle it in-house. Absolutely. And then when I changed, I informed you that we had changed it.
I was not informed by you that it was changed. I asked Alex about it. I said, what happened? And he said, Janelle found a loophole. I wish that loophole had been found earlier so that it could have been taken care of without the chaos.
I understand you're saying chaos. We don't think that it was chaotic. Everybody had the way that it was set up, everybody had their own separate precinct. Everybody was working on those precincts. There was part of those ballots that were done earlier. So it might have looked chaotic because everybody had to sit together at a table, at the conglomerate of tables that we had to pull together because we didn't have a larger room. And it was done the same way that it was done earlier with fewer people. So the exact same process. So the process was not chaotic. The fact that we had 14 people in one spot made it look that way, but it was not chaotic.
We have a different definition of chaos.
Can I ask a quick question? So we were supposed to be sworn in before we did the labels?
Yeah, because I don't
Yes,
remember.
we swore people in. We sat there, everybody that was at
The
we
day
swore them in.
before.
The
we
day
were not
before,
sworn
I
in.
was not sworn in.
When you were where?
In room A.
We should have been sworn in.
Was not sworn
We
in.
were not.
Yes, because we swore everybody in.
We were not sworn in.
We should have.
Liz, your 3 minutes is running out. So
That's why I said, if any people would like to talk to me, I am happy to discuss either the early voting ballot process or what is currently happening in the early voting.
thank you.
I am concerned about this protected. Why in the world would the state say this is
Yes,
protected
I was just about to say
information?
that.
It's not protected information.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Just could have been reflexive. Some of the information that comes out of Veris is, they might slap that on everything,
Right.
but don't know. Rick?
Yeah, Rick Garnett, you, Chief at Biscuit Run. I think you may have already answered my question because I saw something saying that Monticello High School wanted to combine Biscuit Run Monticello locations this year because of the students. Not an issue anymore, is that right? So
As far as we know, not an issue
we'll
anymore.
still have the 2 locations as they go. Okay.
Two things. Are we recording?
Don't forget to, yes, we should be
Right.
recording. There's a little REC up at the top.
But it keeps disappearing.
Yeah, all the little prompts on the screen go away when I don't move my cursor, so.
Diane McNeil, that was my first question. Second question is just interesting. I was going to vote this morning and I was told I could not. Because I'm not sure, because I thought, well, I'll just go to the meeting. But I've never, ever been told there was a problem with my driver's license.
So what was the reason given?
They mumbled something about federal restriction, maybe?
What?
I'm not sure, because I didn't delve into it, which I'll do later, but I just thought I'd throw that out while I'm here, since I'm here.
Right.
Who told you that? Was it the chief that told you that or the person who was checking you in?
It was the lady sitting at the poll pad.
Okay.
And then some other lady came up, and it may be a simple problem, because
No,
like
but
I said, I
thank
did
you for
not.
bringing it to our attention. We don't want to turn voters away. That's not the business we're in. So thank you.
I'm Linda Seaman. I'm a member of the Democrats Voter Protection Team. And we're seeking some clarification on a new to us process where voters who come in before April 14th, the deadline to register, and they register to vote, but are told they have to return in 5 days to actually vote. Now, our question is, number one, if they're unable to return, say they are leaving town, can they ask for a provisional ballot? Last year, toward the end of voting, this document came out from the interim registrar, and it outlines ways for someone to vote having immediately registered before the deadline. So that's our question, is what happens to that voter? And the second question I have is, how do voters know when their registration is complete and they can return to vote? Do they get some kind of notification that allows them to come in? It may be difficult for them to come. And exactly how is that whole information process flowing? We don't see information about same-day registration on the Electoral Board's website, other than the date that it begins. And we ask that it be added to inform voters more about what their rights are on same-day registration. So thank you so much.
Can I address that?
Sure, Jim.
The conversation that we had last fall resulted in the policy that if someone came and registered and were told to come back 5 days later to vote and said, I cannot come back 5 days later, they were given the opportunity to have a provisional ballot. And the reason code was other. That's why we finally found a reason for that reason set. It was a little dicey in that, well, I'd rather vote now. Well, is that saying you can't come back in 5 days? So that issue of giving them total choice versus only giving them the choice if they said they really can't come back in 5 days, that never really got sussed out in the process last fall. But that's the process that we used last fall, to my recollection, and I think I was the one that first suggested it.
And in subsequent discussions this year, actually after last year's, we saw how many people were doing that because they just said, I want to vote now. We came to the realization that what we were doing was implementing same-day registration, because that's exactly the same process where you register and vote provisionally. And yet the state in the code allows same-day registration to occur only after a specific date in early in-person voting. And that seemed like we had reached beyond our grasp there. And so we revised our approach for this election, that we would have people who came in who needed to register would register as the code prescribes, wait 5 days. At that time, a registration card is sent out to them. So that's how the notice is that they would get. But after 5 days, they should be in the systems and should be able to come in and vote, whether they get a registration card before they do or not. And then only at the end of the early voting window, when the state has prescribed same-day registration should occur, that we would do that. And the idea driving that was that we would like to be consistent with the entire state in our approach and not implement our own same-day registration program.
And then regarding this, which is dovetails off of what Bucky said, we wrote this trying to address that, and we reversed it, as Bucky said. And the reason for the preferred option on the first one is not the preferred option for us. It's the preferred option for the voter, because their vote will count immediately. So when you register, do a regular registration, you wait those 5 days, your registration comes in and say it's approved. Then when you come back, you vote a live ballot. However, what we were doing with people is if they voted a provisional ballot, that was not even looked at until well after the election, several days after the election, and not counted. So that's why the preferred option for voters that we believe is to wait those 5 days so they can actually put their ballot in the scanner and it's counted right there. And there's no, and then the waiting period is over. So wait 5 days, or depending on when you vote, you might be waiting 25 days before the provisional ballots are even looked at. So your wait is shorter when you do the regular registration and you wait those 5 days. It is always longer when you do a provisional. It's 100% always longer. And that's what we were looking at.
I think there's a third option on that. It says, all else fails, let them vote provisionally.
I know, but that's what we said that's what we should not have done. That's what Bucky just explained.
I remember discussion about changing that, but I don't remember that we ever took a vote on changing that policy. Did we?
I can't think. I'd have to look in the minutes. Oh, minute keeper.
Yeah. Minute keeper does not remember actually taking a vote. Minute keeper remembers some discussion on it. Might this be something that I know they don't answer much of anything, but that we could put to elect.
I see no problem with that. Janelle, would you ask Ms. Orange for Alex's feedback on that?
And
Will that be timely for this election? Or would that have to wait till the next?
We can't control how quickly they will get back to us. But we do get two more bites at the early voting apple this year, so it's not like it would be all for naught.
She'll respond in some way, whether or not it will be immediate or waiting. She will respond in some way, and we can communicate.
we have a comment back here.
Sherry Stedman, EO and Assistant Chief at Brownsville. I just wanted to let everybody know, just give them a heads up that earlier this week, there were 3 voters who came in, presented their driver's license. When it was scanned, say it was a John Smith, the name that came up was Emily Jones. And the only way we could go back is check by address. And
Did you not try just entering their name as opposed to scanning it?
oh, we did, and it didn't show up.
Ah.
So this is something that I've never seen in the entire time I've ever worked. And if it's going to be an issue during early voting, then I think chiefs and assistant chiefs should be aware of this for voting.
You did ultimately find the voters.
Yes, but that's what you have to do. You typing in the name is not going to work. It didn't work for those 3 voters. So you have to really dig deep, and people have to know how to do that.
But Bucky, just comment on that. We had exactly that thing happen last year on election day at Monticello. It happened 3 times.
Same 3 guys.
So their vote came out, we told her, so we reported it. I don't know why it happened, but it happened 3 times, same day.
How did you resolve it? How did you resolve it? Were you able to see those in?
Look them up otherwise.
They had to look them up.
My personal observation is that the scanning system in the poll pads works so dramatically better than the scanning system we used to have with the poll books that we were using, is that people are it's really remarkable when it doesn't work. And this one doesn't fail in the I won't find someone for you mode. It fails in the I found the wrong person for you mode, which is no good, but it's one of the reasons why we have humans in this loop to confirm that what you are seeing on the ID is in fact what this person is presenting to you. So not ideal, but it's clearly got to be part of our instruction for our officers of election, what we're going to do. I see that Lewis has his hand raised on the call. Lewis?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just got a question about the 5-day waiting period. Are those 5 days business days or 5 consecutive days?
Question.
I don't know, Lewis. Janelle, would you?
I think they're just 5 consecutive days. I'll look up code.
We'll look it up. We're not sure.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Wheeler.
Quick question that was alluded to earlier, Clarabelle Wheeler, Ravenna Magisterial District. There has been questioning around the state concerning whether or not this is a federal election, because clearly there are some, just reporting the news, I'm not making the news.
Right.
There are obviously people who get a federal only ballot more frequently seen in people who are getting mailed out federal only ballots, because if they're in Virginia, in Albemarle County, they may have reason to come back. And this is a registrar question. Has elect actually given you guidance? This is not a federal election because we are voting on a Virginia constitution, not a federal election. But has elect sent you guidance on that you know of?
I've not seen any guidance, but in the webinar,
Yep.
they addressed and made clear that this is a state election and not a federal election. And then there's another webinar, which I can bring that question up.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We will march on with our agenda. Minutes, approval of the minutes from February 19th. You made some minor changes to this when it was originally distributed.
Yeah, the only change I made was that there's some email discussion with Bucky about terminology used. And I decided that what goes on in room B is to be called early in-person parentheses EIP voting to distinguish it from early mail voting or anything else. So that was the only change I made, was to make that consistent.
Power of the pen.
I move their approval.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Good, the minutes are approved. We move on to old business. I had a great meeting with the university precinct team, precinct 202. We were looking specifically at a process for the processing of same-day registration and provisional votes. Since university is at least half of all of our provisional votes, sometimes considerably more than that, they needless to say, need a different process than the one we use in all the other precincts, because they're processing 10 to 100 times as many provisionals. And we had a really good discussion. We covered a lot of ground. We've documented that discussion. I sent that back out to the university team, and I have just recently shared it with the board and the registrar and the elections manager. And I believe that's what the university is going to go forward with. Basically, we've created a defined assembly line approach to doing provisional votes, as opposed to the one-off craftsman system where, you know, a officer of election sits with a voter and crafts their provisional vote. University is going to make use of their second room and basically run that as a little provisional voting precinct where voters start at one station, go get a ballot, mark the ballot, come to another station, finish up their provisional envelope, and all the data gets recorded there and off they go. So that's way oversimplifying. But we had a positive meeting, identified a few additional requirements that university has that don't exist elsewhere. One point they made that I was wholly unaware of is that their check-in officers make great use of the movers rules to help move things along, because obviously students are often moving on an annual basis, and the movers rules would apply in university all the time to people coming through. So one of the requirements to be a check-in officer is to be fully conversant with the movers rules and know whether you need a voter registration form or an affirmation of eligibility form, and make sure those get in the right hands so that people can be moved through the process. That was enlightening for me.
It seems like for this election,
You're not in the prediction business.
I'm not. But it will be one, which normally we don't have, where it's the same school year as last November. So I would guess, I would not predict, but I would guess.
You would hope there haven't been a lot of
be
people moving.
A lot of less moving around. If they're in their dorm room in November, they're in.
But you're not taking bets, right?
Not taking bets. The template that you made that template, I think.
Which one?
The one to put over top of a.
It's coming. We're gonna be using it next month.
Are we gonna use that template in University Precinct?
I think we'll use it everywhere. I've actually already written some slides for it in the same day registration training without having a copy of it to try and make the point that the template will help you determine whether or not the document is complete. It doesn't really help you determine whether it's legible or not. You have to look beyond just there's ink in every box to what does the ink say. Okay. So glad to hear they're coming. Do you have a sense of when they might arrive?
Well, any day. I've spoken with one of the other localities that has them. Said they were sending them and where I can get them.
Okay. Okay. We'll look forward to that. Moving on, election office accounting report. How are we doing? Is this election going to cost anything? This is free, right?
Right. You know, I haven't, what I did was, this on your email, I don't have enough of my invoices in yet to give the full picture of what we're seeing. But I did our initial supplies. And so that includes the envelopes, the ballot on demand stock paper. I don't have the invoice yet for our actual ballots, the thumb drives that we ordered, and then the postage. And then all of that.
Both outgoing and return envelopes.
Correct. That is just over $37,611.40.
You're not even looking at the labor.
Correct, not even there. So that's where we are. And the 27 budget is on the move now, and I'll have a report about that next week as well.
So
Next month.
I noted the state allocated $5 million that would be available to localities. Was there any indication of how we might get any of that money?
Well, the prevailing guess, it's going to be first come, first serve. If you get however they have you submit invoice, whatever you submit, whoever gets there first gets the bond.
So we need to get in before Fairfax.
Exactly. They might have already submitted. Who knows? So.
I was a little confused about that. The policy is the state will reimburse us for this election. That's the policy.
I think that rarely happens.
Up to $5 million.
And there's always a cap on that reimbursement, and it's pretty
low. Anything else of note in our accounting?
No, not until I get more.
Okay. And you're in the midst of the budgeting season. You know,
We are.
you provided all your input and.
Yes, I got something back from the budget department. The 2027 budget is available for me to look at now. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it, but they did set aside 250,000 for elections.
Where so the conduct of elections.
Yes, exactly.
More for the whole
Exactly,
department.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Any questions? Did you have a question?
I do, sir, if I may, Vice Chair. You had referenced salaries. What is the salary schedule for people who work in-person absentee? They get paid by the hour, correct?
Yeah, you're talking about well, in-person absentee, it's $15 an hour. Is that what you're
That's
asking?
the answer.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is been the same since 2020.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, then the electoral board and registrar responsibilities and delegations. You want to talk about something else first? Okay. So we just got a copy of this. Let's ask the board, do we want to go line by line through this, or do we want to pick this up at our next meeting?
Next meeting.
Okay, so unless there's something you want to specifically say to address this, I'll put this on the agenda for the next meeting. And we'll review this at that time.
I think that was.
Then we can focus in on places where we are not all in agreement, as opposed to going line by line through the whole thing.
That sounds good.
Okay. Next item I've got on the agenda is the question of officers of election being assigned to their home precinct.
Yeah.
So what have you found there, Alex?
That good findings and everything. Majority of our election workers are not at their home precincts, but some are, so that's a good thing. Some have welcomed to stay at their home precinct and everything, so I welcome that and everything.
Policy. The code 24.2-115A suggests that we should try to assign officers of election to their home precinct. Obviously, that's not always going to be the case. Obviously, you don't need 30 people to work in Ivy precinct, for example, where we have 30 EOs, and that's their home precinct. So, but less than 50%, it seems like maybe we could do a better job.
Yes, and then I've also kind of also sat down, and when I look at some of the numbers of where people are, I kind of calculated and asked some people if they feel like if they want to come to their home precinct and everything, and I've had a couple takers on that.
So are you going to systematically go through everyone who's not in their home precinct and see if that's something they're interested in, and then see what you can make fit?
Put it out there if they have like an email to send out to see if anyone else is interested. I just found a small group when I was doing this and kind of made note of them, but then I was going to send it out to anybody who's questioning it or would like to. So.
Send it out to
emails.
Anybody who's questioning it, or everybody who's not in their home?
Anybody in the home precinct.
Not in their home precinct. Okay, and making it clear that they don't have to move. We're just trying to find ways to be as compliant as we can.
Right.
Okay. Andy,
Can the minutes reflect it? Alex is still working on this.
I think so, because Alex is still working on it. Very good. We'll pick up this again and get an update. I'd love to get a count of how many people you end up reassigning as a result of this, when we're all said and done. And then the next item is review and disposition of old board materials in warehouse.
As far as he showed me the box, we didn't have time to go through it. One thing that was on top of the box, does anyone still have a VHS player? There is a VHS tape on the top that says for Jim. I don't have one of those things that works anymore. I think I know what it probably is. I'm not sure. Liz, you say you have one?
See if I can get it.
I might bring it in. Let you look at it.
I may have one in my attic. I'm not sure I have anything I can attach it to.
Anyway, with obviously more pressing matters going on, going through a box of old junk has not been high on our priorities, but we will get that done.
All right. New business. Early voting.
Okay,
How's it going?
it's brisk. So I'm just gonna start reporting some numbers. So on Friday, which is the opening day, it's March the 6th, we had 453 people.
Wow.
On Monday,
Four, we
53.
had 413 on Friday and 453 on Monday.
It says. On the first day.
We had 413.
I was cheap on Friday and we had 413.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's,
This was Tuesday.
we had a bunch.
Was this Monday? This was Monday. I'm not sure about it. I have. If this one was Monday,
Well, the consensus opinion is we had 413 on Friday.
well, just see, because the report from the poll pad says 417.
417,
Yes.
a completely different number.
Is this one,
I'll have to go back in there.
is this one Friday? It's-
I'll have to go back and look.
Okay. We're gonna have to date it incorrectly. I'm gonna, okay, so let me give you numbers. Let me give you yesterday's numbers. I do have those. So for yesterday, Wednesday, let me give you Tuesday and Wednesday. So for Tuesday, we have 344. For Wednesday, we have 355. And collectively, for the first several days of early voting, we have 1569. Now, the other two numbers that I have 453 for Friday and I have 417 for Monday. Are those flipped? Don't know.
I'll have to go.
Yes, so and these came directly from the poll pads. So. Okay, well, we'll have to check and see what's wrong with these reports. If there's something wrong with them. I did note that the check-in prints, I would have thought that was the number to look at, but then it also has total prints. And that, I didn't read that number at all because I know that number is wrong, for sure. The total prints that it has, it's not wrong. I mean, it's not right. So we'll go in and take a look at all of the numbers.
Yes, the number of ballots printed isn't telling you how many people voted.
No, it's wrong. We know it's
Yeah.
wrong. Even, we know that that's not.
It's not
the
even
number
telling
is
you how
really
many
wrong.
people are checked
Correct.
in,
It's not-
so.
It's not right.
It's an interesting number from a keeping your ballot stock standpoint, but of no use any other way.
Yeah, but it's not even accurate because we know it's not even accurate. So as of this morning, the number was 1569 before we started voting.
Any inkling how this compares to last November or last, September, really?
I somewhere have those figures. I have to rifle through a lot of paper to find.
At least get rifle through some
But I will try
and
to
find them.
I was gonna look it up.
I'd just be curious to know how we're tracking. We're gonna want to give our polling places, officers of election, an indication of how many people to expect at the polls. And while the first few days of early voting is not always a good indicator, the first 2 weeks of early voting is probably a pretty good indicator. Although this election is not precedented, so it is hard to say for sure.
I have a note from October 6th that there were 47 08s that have voted.
Yeah,
So it's a
that
couple
would have been
weeks.
further in.
That's
Yeah.
well.
Our total was 17,000 and something.
And change, yeah.
What I'll do is, I'll look this up right after the meeting. I'll just put it in email and send it to
That'd be great.
everybody. Has everybody signed in over there? Cause I can send it to everybody. Let's just make sure everybody.
Pass it down.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yes, if you haven't signed in, you should sign in.
Exactly. We'll just make sure that you have the right numbers.
Okay,
Okay, so then I have this. These are regard correct, this is for myself.
good.
Okay, so these are registered voters numbers and then the cancellation numbers. I looked at from November through the end of last month. So you can see the trend in our registered voters. The December number is very high. It's the right number. We went over 90,000 there. I looked at November of 2025 and we were at just over 86,000 in November, right around 86,000 in November. And so these are the numbers right here.
5% growth year over year, that's not impossible.
And then the cancellations, I want to just bring your attention to a couple of numbers here. The February number for deceased, that includes some deaths from January. This is a big number, but it includes some from January. January is a little bit too low. And then the other number I want to bring your attention to is the inactive. NCOA stands for the
National change.
national change of address. And the Department of Elections sends out a national change of address. They send out address confirmations to everyone. And so for those people who did not respond, we had 144 of those. And the result of them not responding means that they went inactive and they were not eligible. If they were permanent absentee, they were not eligible to receive those ballots. So we pulled those ballots. So that was 144.
So those people, those 144 have not been purged.
No, just their permanent absentee has been, the permanent absentee has been expired.
So there has been no purge
No,
through the state purge process.
no. The registrations are intact. That's the question. Sure.
What's the difference between out of state and national change of address?
National change of address is it's exactly that. It's like the people who are moving and they've had their change of address.
So then what's the difference between out of state? If you move out of state, you've changed your address.
Well, this NCOA is something that elected separately. The out of state, you are moving, but it's people reporting it themselves. The state did this one.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Okay.
the
Okay.
NCOA, that was done by the Department of Elections specific.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Do you have a final total on how many absentee ballots we mailed out?
I do. We mailed out, I have the certificate of mailing. We mailed out 6,971. Sorry, 6,971. That was on Friday. Since then, we mailed out another 33. And then we will mail out this morning another 84. In the last 2 days, we got 40 one day and we got a bunch the next day. So, and we'll mail those out today, this morning. They may have already been gone. We're doing a run this morning and we'll do a run this. Okay. And we received back through the Dropbox. Yesterday we received 24 ballots.
Those are first ones?
Yes. And then for the from the mailed out absentees, from the bunch that I mentioned earlier, we received 74 back. They were all undeliverables. 55 of them were returned to sender. Either the people moved or they moved within Virginia or they moved out of state. And there were 5 of them that had a message that I hadn't seen before. It says temporarily away. So those ballots came back and the rest were assortment of other things, but it was 74 total.
How surprising it's so low when you have 7,000. No.
Yeah, that's quick response. You may get more. You got a question?
Well, actually, it was the kudos. The Department of Elections, as Jonelle, I think said, did not send the registrars the NCOA until Thursday.
Yeah, it was very.
So you couldn't work it till Thursday. So everybody, all hands on deck, and I want to compliment the board because all 3 members of the board were here Friday afternoon.
I guess they were
loading up the mailed out absentee ballots into their cars to take them to the post office to get them in on time. So thank you, board members, for working overtime. But I guess you always work overtime. Thank you.
If any one of us had had a bigger car, we could have put them all in there.
And I would like to say that I offered my truck, but next year, one of you can drive my truck.
I do want to dovetail off of that. I went to the post office yesterday. I spent about almost 2 hours there. So I really wanted to understand their operation.
Looking at the new stamps.
Exactly, they did everything. I brought back some of those trays. They gave me a tour of the inside. I asked them about the best process for us to get our ballots there. They told me that, we're gonna do exactly what they said. And they even told me something that I was not aware of, is that when you, right before the deadline, or even right on the deadline of the absentee ballots coming back to us, they can send out, I guess, on an emergency basis, if we call them, they'll come directly here and pick them up for us and then take them to the post office. I said, are you sure? He said,
Good trip.
yes. He said,
Good
"You
trip."
know, yes, that was a good trip. So that was very nice. I do want to mention a couple of other things from early voting. The gold oath, we've had, I don't have a number for Friday or Monday. But yes, on Tuesday, we had 24. And yesterday we had 7. And then ID confirmations, we've had 3.
Are we still keeping a log of the ID confirmations?
We are, yes.
Why are we keeping a log of?
Well,
that question.
Didn't this begin? Well, you guys tell me this last year, I was not in on that, so.
Debbie started that and we did not understand why then. Not understand why now.
Liz, do you have information?
Yeah, I think I know.
That's not it.
There were no reported, it is my understanding, and I've heard this sort of through the grapevine, so it may not be, it's 100%. There are no gold votes on Friday or Monday because the poll pads had not been programmed with the absentee ballot information. So if somebody came in who was on the absentee ballot list, we did not have that information on our poll pads. I may be incorrect, but that is information that I was told yesterday.
Can anybody respond to that?
I don't know how that happened.
Alex, do you have any thoughts on that, the absentee ballots?
I just know the linkage probably wasn't the communication on both ends or communicator.
So that's why there were probably no gold votes on Friday or Monday.
But did we have any?
We don't know.
So
Okay,
somebody could have.
You didn't have any gold noses because there was no one.
No, if they send in their absentee ballot,
This is correct.
I'm wondering if anybody filled out a form.
no,
I'm just wondering.
Should be an envelope 8, so.
I'll check that out.
we had no way of knowing.
Anyway, and Valerie, unless you feel otherwise, I don't think the board has any sense that we need to keep a log of ID confirmations.
How about the log of gold?
Hang on a
votes?
second. Yes.
I'm sorry, could you pronounce what you're saying? I'm not hearing the words, and could you explain? I don't know, gold post, it sounds like you're saying gold.
Gold oath.
Oath.
Gold oath.
There's a form that's goldenrod in color that is used for folks who come in and say, yes, maybe you did send me an absentee ballot, but I never received it and I'd like to vote. And the state allows them to simply vote normally after they sign this form swearing that they're not going to vote their other ballot and they didn't get it. And that's only in early voting. It's not something that's available at the polling places. Polling places, we have a different process.
And ID confirmation?
That's somebody who comes in and doesn't have an ID that's actually on the list or the ID with them, and they can sign a sheet that says, I am who I am. They're confirming their ID, they sign it, and then they get to vote a live ballot.
And that becomes their valid ID.
Thank you. And Diane McNeil.
Liz, you had something else?
We are also recording all of the gold forms, gold oaths that are being done. Can we also eliminate that as an extra list we have to keep?
I don't have a strong feeling about that one way.
I don't think you can because we've got them. Still there.
It's recorded in the poll pad. It's recorded on the slip of paper. We need to write it out.
I frankly see no need.
Does it serve any purpose for y'all?
It's easier if there's a FOIA, but no.
Just get the stack of gold oaths and
Yes,
type them
I
in.
have
So,
all that
yeah.
myself. It's fine, but that's fine. So no, we can do without that too.
We need to take a vote, or is it just our consensus?
The consensus direction to the registrar is that we see no need for these things, and if she's in agreement to make them go away.
I am.
Thank you.
Glad we pleased you somehow today.
All right. Anything else on early voting? The less filing that we did on before 3-1 or by 3-1, did we have any remediation activities we had to do? Anything we have to accomplish by April 1st?
I think there might be one or two. I'll ask Sagar about that, but we actually had to hold it back on that a little bit because the form was changed. And the Department of Elections can't submit it if the form is changed. So he had to go back to the original Excel sheet and fill that in, and then that's what I actually uploaded.
And are we on track to have the remediation accomplished by April 1st?
Yes, we are.
Good. Next item here is the election schedule for training. We had talked about, and for LNA. We had previously talked about a schedule in our February 19th meeting that we were going to use, and I understand we're maybe shifting some of our training plans. So let's go over what those are going to be.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, a couple things that we've changed to
Are we in
the
April or are we in March?
March.
We're still in March.
Start the first one in March on Thursday, March 26th. On 5th Street on room A, we are having the chief and assistant chief training.
Oh, not at
McIntyre.
McIntyre.
Yes.
You're all booked up that day.
So we're gonna do that on the 26th. The new the pull pad newbies and refresher training for the pull pads is gonna be in room A on April 6th. That's on Monday. We have 3 slots. We're gonna
April 6th is already LNA test.
So
That's
LNA,
Sunday.
yep, LNA testing will be now on the 7th.
They flopped, yeah.
So flip flop.
A.
Can you give me the times?
Yep, so for the pull pad newbie refresher training is gonna be 10, 2, and 6, and this will be off 5th Street here and
Won't have training.
correct.
What about on the 26th with that time?
The 26th is from 6 to 8. Thank you, Rick.
6 to what?
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Yes, sir.
Well, if we can get it done sooner than that, we won't go to 8.
And LNA testing, 9 o'clock or what?
Yes.
On
The April 7th.
Okay, and poll pad training was on April 7th.
That's been moved to April 6th.
So those two have just been flipped.
Correct. Then for same day registration training, it would be on Friday, April 10th. And that will be over at the county office building and McIntyre. And we're still working on that time. We have the room all day.
Which room?
The Lane Auditorium. Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Available.
Yes. So I put we can technically be there from 8 o'clock until 5. So we just have to figure out a time. They don't let anybody come stay there after 5 on Fridays. So I said a 10 o'clock one and not sure what the other time.
And I may or may not be able to be there. Monticello potential conflicts. You know. If you do it, so.
You make sure I can be there before you sign off. Oh yeah, I gotta put the hummingbird feeders up, but otherwise we're good.
So Bucky, I just want to ask you, so we can do the 10 o'clock because we're in that room. Do you want to do, say, a 2 o'clock,
No, I do it later,
3 o'clock?
later,
We have to be kicked out by 5.
3:30.
Okay, 3:30.
Just, some people won't be able to come in the morning and I want to give them as late a choice as we can.
And then newbie training will be on Wednesday, April 15th, and that's from 6 to 8. And this will be also over here on 5th Street.
On the 15th.
Yes, sir.
time?
And it's gonna be here in room A, you say?
Yep, 6 to 8.
Didn't we change the cages?
We did.
Cages.
Yeah, we were supposed to be checking the cages that day, although we could
Yeah.
check the cages before that.
We switched those.
Day before is, yep,
No, I mean, we could check the cages that day, earlier that day.
yeah, fine.
I mean, as long as I got to drive here, get down to the driving.
There's two. That's when you switched. When's the first one?
I think ours was Monday.
Yeah.
And then theirs is either Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
Ours was Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, I'll make sure it's in here.
So we're keeping it Wednesday?
You think so?
No, the 7th now has LNA testing. I have a 10 a.m. dentist appointment, and we don't change appointments anymore. But that should not be more than,
You can go and come back. We'll still be testing.
yeah. It should be fairly quick.
We'll be starting LNA on the 7th.
9 o'clock.
And will we have Tyler?
Yes. We had to change that.
When is training for the standard EOs? I don't see it.
Not having it.
Giving a break.
Something we discussed earlier on, since we had trained the heck out of everybody last year, we are not going to train them, and we don't have to train them. New officers, we have to train. Chiefs and assistants, we have to train. So we're training those folks. And since we don't have new equipment, new processes, there's no need to train the EOs. We are going to be putting some online training up. We'll have some training for the ballot officers. We'll put on the same-day registration training, and we have a statement of results training course that's going through the review process that we'll put online.
And you will at some point give us a new
I'll do that.
list of all of them, because I got things running all over the place, and I'm afraid I'll get something wrong.
I'll do that.
On the calendar I'm holding, it says LNA testing for the precinct poll pads on Friday, the 17th of April, which really can't happen. It's got to be Sunday the 19th, I would think.
I've got an arrow pointing to Sunday the 19th.
I don't have that on. So oversight here. Again, good reason to get a new list. And by the time we get to that one, and we know how to clear things out after we check people in, so we can really test
I guess.
everything we want to, everything the way it's going to happen in the polling place. That'd be great. As long as I'm on no ink. I had a question from a voter the other day wanting to know about satellite offices and why don't we have one like Chesterfield? And I provided some feedback. Clearly Chesterfield doing a lot more voting than we are. But then we had this discussion at our last meeting, and there may one day come a time where satellite voting. That immediately raised the question in my mind, how would you synchronize the poll pads in two separate locations? So that voter in place A didn't go to place B and vote again.
That was a problem when the whole idea of satellite voting first came into effect in 2020, because you had to be able to communicate. And it looked like the only way you could communicate was through the internet. And you did not want to communicate through the internet. So it was said that you have to be in, if let's say you have a regular one here and a satellite here, those two have to be under the same government supervision,
Right.
so they can hardwire communicate with each other without having to go through the internet.
Understand all of that, and the code helps specify that in terms of owning or leasing the buildings. What isn't clear is how the hardware that Knowing uses, since they're using not Wi-Fi connections between the devices, but other connections, how they would synchronize that. So I put it to you as something to explore with the Knowing folks.
Yeah.
Obviously not something we need this year, but 5 years from now, if we're still using this equipment, I'd like to know how that happens. If it does, and if it doesn't, that might color future decisions. So just putting it out there. Not something I had considered before. Figured I'd pass it along in case you hadn't been thinking about it either. Okay.
Let me make sure that I have that straight. You're asking if the poll books, the knowings can sync across polling places?
Exactly. The poll pads in that room all sync together, and that's the only place we're checking in people to vote. With the poll pads in another room, don't normally sync with the poll pads in this room. And if that other room happens to be 10 miles from here in another county-owned facility that's secure and operates as a registrar's office as well, which would make it a valid satellite place that if the Board of Supervisors had approved it as such, how would that work? Is it technically even possible with the poll pads? And again, not something I anticipate we're going to need to know the answer to anytime soon, but you never know when the General Assembly is going to change once again the rules about early voting. And suddenly we're, oh my gosh, we've tripled the number of early voters we have. We've got to, we need satellite offices. I'd like to know if this equipment can do that, and if so, how. Not that I need to do it. Any other questions about dates or times or schedule? Okay. Other items. Something I had, you had your hand up first. Go ahead.
This relates back to previous conversations concerning policy changes. Our policy, to my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, in past years has been that if some voter comes in who has been issued an absentee ballot and they come in to vote and they do not have their absentee ballot with them, they are given a gold oath, allowed to vote on the machine, and told to destroy their ballot if it comes to their house. I overheard yesterday, I guess it was, or the day before, it's that very situation, and the person was told, bring us your ballot or mail it into us. And I questioned, I said, is that what we're telling people now? And the answer was yes. That is a policy change. I would like to know who made that policy change and why.
Mailing it in offers the opportunity for confusion as they're submitting their absentee ballot.
Well, that's what staff was telling people.
What I'm hearing is, I need to know what the policies have been for early voting, because I don't know what they are. I've never, you're saying that, I've never heard that.
Now, that has been our policy, correct? That
I've
you have
never
told
heard
people, destroy your ballot.
And we're now being told to ask them to go home, write return to sender and send them back in.
Or bring them back in.
Or bring them back in.
I heard, yeah.
So if it's returned to sender in handwriting and not a sticker from the post office, then you know you can connect that that's somebody who's voted by gold vote.
There's too many bad things can happen if you do it that way. No, you can get taken off the list of people who get absentee ballots.
So we can go to this policy, and I'd love to have a conversation about what policies are already in place, because we don't know, what I don't.
Yes, you'd be having to look through all the minutes of all the previous meetings and hoping you could find them.
And Liz has.
I faced the same problem last year.
Yes, gotcha.
Another policy we used to have was if somebody did bring their ballot in and wanted to vote on the machine in person that day, that we were supposed to open the envelope, write void on the ballot, staple everything multiple times so that it would be very clear that ballot could never be used. Now we are being asked to write void on the ballot and send the ballot back to the office without any of the other machinations.
Send it back to the office.
Well, we have a folder, an envelope that says AB on it. So it's absentee ballots that have been surrendered to us.
So the first process you articulated is virtually the same as the process in the polling places on election day. So very consistent with that.
Yes.
And easy to track. You left out the part where offer them the get off the permanent absentee list choice.
Yes,
which I'm sure you would do.
But yes.
And I would ask the registrar why you'd want to do what Liz has articulated as opposed to just voiding it, stapling through it, and keeping it in the polling place in its envelope for ABS.
I don't see a reason not to do that.
Yeah, Consistency
So,
improves performance.
so how is it done to avoid, because again, this is another policy I'm not aware of.
You open the envelope that the voter brings back. First,
Gotcha.
you need to make sure that you have at least envelope B with their identifying information on it.
Got it.
And you need to see the ballot that was issued to them. Right, void on the ballot. You put everything back in the envelope you got, you staple through it. Put that in envelope for ABS. Offer them a permanent absentee, get off the list, form to fill in, and then let them, check them in, let them vote normally.
Liz has her hand up again.
I'm so sorry. We also would actually staple the ballot to the outside of the envelope so that you could see that the ballot had been returned. So everything else is put back in the ballot into the original envelope, except for the ballot, which is stapled to the outside. I'm just saying.
It's not exactly what we do in the polling places, but there's no harm in that.
What's
That's what we do.
different in the polling?
Polling places, you just stuff everything back in the envelope once you've checked off that it's there and
Not
right
according
void
to
on it.
Ann, she's saying no.
Not at Brownsville.
Not ours.
Yeah,
And then staple it all together.
as long as you have the ballot on the backside, so the address, I mean, that's the thing, it has to be.
You need to be able to see the voter's address.
Yeah.
The ballot.
And this way you can also see the ballot is there without having to actually open it up.
Right.
You see the address, you see the ballot, and you see that it's been voided. That's how we do it at Brownsville.
It's clearly a place we don't have training on.
That's the way we do it.
We've discussed it so many times. And it's, to me, it's somewhat trivial whether you're stapling it here or stapling it there.
You want to see the
Well,
ballot and you want to see the address.
Well,
But that's, yeah, okay.
We're taking the EO's word for it, that they have done both of those things before they check the voter in and let them vote.
Mr. Chair, do we need a motion or just a consensus of the electoral board on the policy for that? In early voting?
I'm happy to hear any motion you'd like to make on that.
Well, motion that we do it as described, that everything goes back into the envelope. And except for the ballot, and that gets stapled to the back.
And the ballot has had void written on it.
Right.
And
And that we're doing this in person.
So moved, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
So let it be written.
So let it be trying to be written.
Just a second, Rick.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
For early voting for the chiefs who might be new. Do we have anything written down as to differences between what's in the chief's manual for election day, how things are handled differently on early voting to avoid the confusion that new chiefs might have?
Oh, we don't have anything.
I'm not aware of anything like that. You guys haven't seen anything like that, yeah. So stuff like the goldenrod oath, which just doesn't turn up in the chief's manual, would be something you'd need to know. As an example.
So back to my issue. If we are moving, I move that voters who bring in their absentee ballots but wish to vote excuse me, back up. Voters who come in wishing to vote in person without their absentee ballot in hand be told to destroy their ballot and if they receive it at home and not send it back. That seems to be your all's liking.
Does the golden oath form offer any direction to the voter on this topic?
Not really, and the actual wording of the oath is a little.
And they don't keep that, we do.
No, I understand, but they're signing it.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we're not going to tell them to do something that's inconsistent with what's on that form that they just signed. I'm in favor of that.
As am I.
Sounds like a consensus of the board.
Okay. And if those can be announced to both your staff as well as officials working early in person.
Sure.
So we don't have somebody doing it one way and somebody doing it another way.
Something that I would be very impressed if we got it done for this early voting session, but the point Rick raised is a good point. There should be the, addendum chief's guide to early voting, that here are some things that are different. Here's what we do here, your check-in receipts and rod oath form, and et cetera. It'd be nice to have a short list of those things so that we could provide that instruction. And so, as noted before, even if we don't get it done for this early voting session, we'll get 2 more turns this year. So plenty of value from any effort expended there. Is that it from your hand raise?
That is it from my hand.
I wanted to see if the board could schedule a time that we could go through the training materials for chiefs and assistant chiefs.
Okay.
As part of our election material preparation.
I thought your slides looked very good, but
If you don't want to go through them, we can save that time.
It probably would be
Yeah.
good for us to do a very short.
I think it'd be nice to split up who's doing what and,
Yeah.
and have a little run through.
And that all comes under training. So.
When works for you? Tomorrow.
Most of next week works for me except Friday.
Except for which day? I'm sorry.
Friday.
Friday. So say Monday the 16th. See if we can get a room. Yeah,
If it is,
That's good for me.
if it is just the 3 of us, possible to use what was the electoral board conference room?
there's no tables in there and no projection system in there. So
Possible.
we can get this room on Monday.
Okay.
What time's good for you guys?
10
10 o'clock?
Yeah, 10 o'clock would be good.
10 o'clock Monday.
Second, put this in before the room goes away.
16th is not the finest, Jim.
So it's the 16th, yes. What time must go, yes. There we go. Got the room reserved. Now, any other items that we need to cover?
You did ask about and so I just have a handout I can just give you. This was the best way I can get there's 11 courses.
I had asked Janelle
Yes.
about how's she doing on becoming certified as the state requires new registrars to be.
Yes, and so I printed out the names of the courses. And there are 11 of them. I need to complete them before.
Cool. Thank you. Now I have some clue what you're getting, what your training is going to be. Or educational program.
It's back. Took enough look at it. Fine.
Anything else?
Paper on my desk.
Then I think that'll end the open part of this meeting. We will formally go into closed session after a break. Thank you all for coming and for participating. Paul, thank you all very much. If you drop off, that'd be great. Yeah. Would you have some time tomorrow?
I asked.
See?
You know,
I know.
So.
Well, when we tell people 5 days, it's when they said.
Turning the recording back on so that I can move that the board convene a closed meeting pursuant to section 2.2-3711.a of the Code of Virginia under subsection 1 to discuss and consider the appointment.
Can I add something to closed session?
Pause that.
I know that was all wrong. Is it possible to, I'm not sure what you have all for closed session. Could I add a topic to closed session?
The topic I have involves the assignment of EOs and chiefs. Personnel, yes, we're considering the appointment, assignment, and performance of current and prospective personnel. Do we need to obtain legal advice? Do we need to discuss contracts?
No.
If it's all personnel related, then it would be covered under.
Then it's all that. Okay, gotcha.
That's okay. So what I just said, all those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
10:30.
I'm going to. So I'd like to move the following as we come out of closed session, that the electoral board certify by recorded vote that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorizing the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And we're back in regular session at 11:01. Or in case anybody wants to pop in.
I move the approval of 4 new election officers for 1-year term beginning March 1st, 2026.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. They're approved unanimously. For the purposes of having a board meeting to review assignments of officers of election to the polling places for the April 21st election, I'd like to suggest we have schedule a board meeting for March the 20th at 9 in the morning. Everybody in agreement there? Post notices for that meeting and get it scheduled. And right now I'm planning on it being in this room, assuming I can make the reservation system work. Any other business? Thank you all very much. And we are adjourned.
Go Hoop.